Yo guys, McMeghan here to bring you another video. This game took place in the last week of the regular season of this past SPL. I played against Fakes and it was in GSC OU still. That being said, let's move to the team building. Alright, let's get going. I'm gonna talk a bit about this team that I got from Tama to play against Fakes. Once again, I was being a bit indecisive of what I would bring. And ultimately, I fall back on some offense instead of going defensive. And I was looking at some replays from Tama himself, and I spotted this nice team. I liked the little quirks it had, and it was around Tactical too. It's something I've never run before in GSC, at least before this game, and I had a good feeling it would work. Well, just more of an intuition, you know. And yeah, that's what I wanted to bring. I wanted to bring Vaporeon on Tactical, and I ultimately decided on Tactical because since I never ran it before, there maybe a Fakes wouldn't be prepared for it too much, since just in case it would scoot me. Anyway, I'll talk a bit about the individual Pokemon now. So we got Nidoking in the lead spot, as I said in the previous video about my game against Mr. Number. I like ground types in GSC because they allow you to pivot around electric, so they don't have free thunders for the whole game. And here we have Nidoking with a slightly different moveset. This time I run Lovely Kiss and Thief. I like Lovely Kiss. Well, Lovely Kiss is standard. I don't particularly like it. I like Thief in this particular occasion because it can remove leftovers from Pokemon that are annoying. Like if you see Snorlax for this team is a bit annoying, as weird as it sounds, because Snorlax is in every team. But yeah, Snorlax is a tactical check though, so if you can remove its leftovers, it's really helpful for the late game sweep, and that's the purpose of Thief in this team. Also, it makes it allows Nidoking to pressure Zapdos even more, and Zapdos is another one of tactical check, so it doubles up synergy wise. Next up, Snorlax with a very standard moveset, Curse, Body Slam, Quick Rest. Nothing much to say about it. It's just solid Pokemon that can check a lot of stuff in a pinch and can sweep if it comes down to it. As you'll notice, this Nidoking lacks Thunder, which means Kamui can technically wall it, and removing its leftovers can help Snorlax later in the game. Anyway, moving up to Cloyster with a kind of an unusual set, Clump Screech instead of the classic Surf Toxic or Surf HP Electric. The reason why I went with this one is that, as you can see from the team previews, there is, well, the team preview, the little thing I put in the above, there is no normal resist, which means Snorlax can be annoying if it gets going. Like, this team cannot afford Snorlax to rack up curses. So in this case, I like this Cloyster because picture this scenario where you switch Cloyster into the Snorlax as it cures, and like you get the spikes up and it gets another curse, which means it's not in boom range anymore. And in this case, instead of going for the Toxic Surf and rinse and repeat, you just trap it with Clump, and with Screech you remove the defense boost from Curse, and then you get the boom off, and you get a nice trade out of it. So that's why I went with it. Another next one is Zapdos. As usual, pretty standard pick for. Oh wait, let me put the music on loop. Well, there we go. Another classic pick for offense. Zapdos just powerhouse that can check a lot of things thanks to its typing and natural bulk. Not much to say about it. I'll talk about the Tactical last because it's the star of the show at this team. Next up, Executor. Once again, a very classic feat for offense in GSC because it has kind of a Swiss knife thanks to its mini tools. In this team I went with, Tama with and I like the set of Psychic, Giga Drain and Thief. The reason why I like Giga Drain because it can sort of prevent Terrorizer to trap it, or at least it forces mind games and you're not helpless against it. I already have a sleep move on of Nidoking. Thief can remove the leftovers on the likes of Zapdos or Snorlax too, which all have Tentacruel obviously. And next we have Explosion for the classic, standard move on Executor. And in this team, if it can, if I face a Raikou, booming on Raikou is really what you wanna do. And so removing with leftovers with Thief from the like of Skarmory, which would hold this set, is very useful because it makes Skarmory easier to pressure with Nidoking and Snorlax. And without leftovers, you can like pressure it with Psychic, even especially if you get Speed fail, and you can force the issue. Let me be more precise. By forcing the Skarmory out between the lack of leftovers thanks to Thief and the Psychic spam, you can force the Raikou in, which means because you really wanna boom on Raikou with this team, so rather than Skarmory. Basically, you wanna boom all the Boomon or heavily crippled all the Tentacruel checks. So yeah. And in the last lot, the star of the show, Tentacruel with sub SD. The set is pretty standard. I liked the idea of running it. Like, it's a nice win condition. And it also checks some stuff like Vaporeon that would otherwise be annoying. You'll often realize if you decide to ever run Tentacruel or see it play that it's kind of a Pokemon that relies on odds, you know? Like, sometimes you just force a situation where the Zapdos is still alive but it's asleep, so it has to hit Thunder through its sleep to beat you, and like you have odds on your side, so it's not guaranteed, but yeah, it's something to play for. And Tentacruel is good in those situations because you have a nice speed tier, especially for GSC. You tie with Zapdos and you try to boost, get the sub up, and then just do your thing, you know, Tentacruel things. I'll briefly mention that this team isn't very, I wouldn't really recommend it, or it probably should be tweaked a little bit. I was mentioning in the last video that normal resists are very kind of needed, like in GSC, because not only are they needed to check Snorlax, but like you don't want your opponent to boom and kill you every time for free. So you can at least prevent them from booming too recklessly, and this team doesn't have any switch to boom. Like if something on the other side decides to do explosion, I have to basically sack something. So yeah, not very ideal. Anyway, that's what I ended up going with, and I'll talk about the game now. Alright guys, let's get going on this game against Fakes. Just wanted to say sorry for uploading this a bit later than usual. I wanted to record yesterday, but the replays were down, so I couldn't do it. And now that they are back, I'm doing this. So game seconds Fakes with that Tentacruel team. Let's get into it. He leads with Executor, much like Mr. 378 last week, and I lead with the Nidoking. So usually egg lead teams are a bit offensive, just something to keep in mind for later, but yeah, not much conclusions to draw from this. Anyway, in this lead matchup I decided to Lovely Kiss right away, because most Nidoking targets, especially to take sleep, kind of check Tentacruel, mostly thinking of Snorlax and Zapdos here. So if I can put them to sleep for Tentacruel later, that's great. I also get to pressure them better with Nidoking too, so going for it. I get to put the Executor to sleep, pretty nice because Executor doesn't carry a sleep talk, so it's gonna stay asleep, unless he has a beater in the back, but we'll see. Anyway, turn 2, I decide to Thief because I figure he isn't gonna stay in on Nidoking, because Icebeam does a bit too much and he's sleeping, so he's probably gonna go to his check now, and I can steal its leftovers from it. allowing me to pressure it better with Nidoking. And like I just said a bit earlier, most tentacular checks kind of check Nidoking too, so the more I pressure them, the more my end game is looking better. Anyway, got to steal Snorlax leftovers very early, which is pretty good for this team, because like I said in the team building, Snorlax can actually be a threat with Curse if it snowballs out of control. So removing the leftovers is very key to keep it in check. Here I remember, well, okay, so I go to cluster and he put it to sleep. So I'll just go back on this real quick by going around turn, clicking the last turn button. So obviously going cluster was a very hard decision to take. I wasn't sure if I should go right to it, because I was actually very afraid of Lovely Kiss right away. Losing cluster so early in the game to sleep is very much annoying, as I don't get to put my spikes up, which both Zapdos and Nidoking appreciate a lot. And I would also lose a Boomer. The thing is, like I said earlier, my team has no normal resist, which means if this, and I don't even have a Farther either. So if Snorlax decides to curse on Nidoking, it can really get out of control very quick. And that's why I went on a cluster ASAP, because cluster carried the Clump Screech combo, and if I get my spikes up, it becomes easier to check Snorlax later in the game. And that's my fear of Snorlax due to the lack of normal resist that brought me to switch into cluster right away. And unfortunately, it wasn't really. Was a pretty bad move, I guess. Well, it didn't pay off because he Lovely Kissed right away, and I don't get it will out to get my spikes up. Anyway, I now switch to my Snorlax because Curse Snorlax can check other Snorlax in a pinch, so that's my best course of action at this point. I also want to mention that I maybe should have Earthquake with Nidoking at least once, so I can get some damages on Snorlax. And like, if I get an Earthquake without the leftovers, I can still keep it in check with Cloyster afterwards. So it's not probably the best course of play. And that's what Tama told me after the game too. And he built a team, so he knows how to play it pretty well. Anyway, I switched to Snorlax on Ace, and he doubled to Ace Cloyster. A pretty good move on his part, because since my Cluster was sleeping, see, okay, I just got some turn back. So since my Cluster was sleeping, going to Ace was pretty safe, and he can get his spikes up. And that's what happened. And now he has his Cluster on my Snorlax, which means he can. It doesn't allow me to get too much curses up. Yeah. So it's toxic, very common scenario in this duel. I set up a curse. I just setting up curses because it forces him to boom, but like, even well, there are two scenarios. Either I force him to boom, or I can get more damages on his Snorlax checks, unless it's Skarmory, but it doesn't look like it's gonna be Skarmory in this kind of team. Well, it could be, but yeah. Anyway, he stays in and he Surf. I Body Slam here. The reason why I didn't get another curse and Body Slam instead is that the first thing is he could have switched to a better Snorlax check if he had one, so I could get some damages on it. And the other reason is, if I could get a paralysis on the Cluster, would have been useful, so I can outspeed the next turn and rest up to take the boom and remove the toxin status. I Body Slam right away and I don't get to paralysis. And at this point, well, I am at 64, I have 2 crosses up, and the way he played around it kind of let me know he doesn't have a great Snorlax checks. The thing is, how to switch out at this point, because, like I said, I don't have something to take boom in this team. No normal resist, no ghost types. So, what do I do? Well, I was considering going to Mice Cloyster, since it was asleep, I probably was gonna do nothing for this game, but I remember in the game that when I was I had originally clicked on a rest with Snorlax, then I wanted to cancel and go Cloyster, and the next thing I know, well, the animation of his boom went off, so it was too late to cancel at this point. Not saying I would have done it, but I think it was a very reasonable thing to do, going to McMeghan at this point. Because probably the fact that he surfed on turn 7 kind of tell me he didn't have a better Snorlax sensor in the back, so boom was coming. Anyway, now my Snorlax is at 25% after leftovers, it's toxic and there is a spike sub, so it's gonna be very hard to heal it. And he sends Marowak. I did a calculation from Earthquake, and it does 23 to 27. So I took my chance at resting on the Marowak here, hoping I would tank the Earthquake, but he got the mid roll and he managed to kill it. So at this point in the game, we are pretty even in the fact that we both have one Pokemon asleep, and we both have 2 Pokemon in the back. And yeah, the thing is, he has spikes and I don't, and so he kind of has an advantage. So we'll see later. Anyway, he reveals Marowak. So there is an asleep Executor, Snorlax with the leftovers, and a Marowak, which means Tentacruel so far has a chance at sweeping. So that's something to keep in mind. I decide to go Zapdos on the Marowak. Well, I don't have a better switch-in anyway. I could go Executor, but Executor won't kill with Giga Drain, and he could kill it with HP Bug by staying in. So yeah, Zapdos is the best course of action at this point in the game. And that's where he reveals Raikou. So yeah, I decided to Thunder because like he wasn't gonna stay in with Marowak probably. If I can Thunder the Snorlax switch-in, which was likely, especially without the spikes up, that's better, so I can get more damages on it. But he reveals Raikou, and the Raikou is actually very, very much annoying because unlike Zapdos, it's lower than Tentacruel, which means I can't really get past it with Tentacruel unless I paralyze it. And yeah, very annoying. It also completely blocks Zapdos. But yeah, I can at least sort of abuse it with Nidoking depending if he runs HP or not. We'll see about that later. Anyway, he reveals HP, well later, he reveals LP Ice right away. I decided to Thunder again because like I said, Raikou outspeeds Tentacruel, so I just Thunder once in hopes that I could get a full paralysis, so I can better abuse it with Nidoking and try my chance with Tentacruel between sub, yeah, especially with sub, because he would have to hit Thunder through paralysis and through sub, so yeah, I'm trying to get a paralysis on this Raikou at this point. Anyway, he Thunder, and I decided it's time to rest, so my Zapdos can stay healthy. I'm gonna try to roll Thunder and with Sleep Talk to paralyze it, but I don't. Also, another reason why I stayed into Sleep Talk is that I can burn a Sleep Turn, which can be useful because his Marowak is actually looking bleak too at full, because I can't one-shot it with anything, and it can be a very big threat in this to my team, because HP Bug will one-shot it will one-shot Executor, Earthquake will one-shot Nidoking and Tentacruel, Zapdos has to hit Iron Power to Sleep Talk, so yeah, kind of annoying. Not looking good for me, especially because of this Raikou. Anyway, I decide to pivot on Nidoking now, because if I don't Sleep Talk rest, Zapdos is gonna be good as dead. So I go Nidoking on the Thunder, so I can get some momentum on my side. Earthquake, and as you can see, the Snorlax is at 68, so just need I need 3 Earthquake. So I decide to keep pressuring it with Nidoking, and I can also check the moveset this way, but he body slam once, which means, well, it's not double edge, but yeah, he body slam one, he get the paralysis right away, very annoying paralysis, because now I'm slower than well, both Snorlax and Marowak, and being slower than Marowak is very much of a problem here. I'm also at a bigger disadvantage against Raikou now, because if I get full parad as I try to Earthquake, I won't even get any damages on it. So yeah, this paralysis was very much annoying. Anyway, I switch on the Cloyster on the second paralysis, on the second Pot Slam, sorry. And he goes Raikou. Well, the Raikou was kind of expected, I guess, but I just burnt a sleep turn with a cloister, so I can like just in case I can have a chance to wake up later. Like say I send cloister on Marowak after a kill, then I can actually hope to wake up. So that's why I decided to at least burn one turn of sleep. Anyway, now I'm in a very annoying position because I don't have any good Raikou answer. I have a sleeping Zapdos, a Nidoking that is already at 74 and paralyzed, Closter that is obviously not gonna do much, Executor which cannot beat Raikou and loses in the long run, but it will have to boom on it, and Nunchakrel, who I don't want to reveal for first, and won't beat Raikou either. So yeah, not looking that good here. But so I go Nidoking here. I was kind of expecting Thunder on the Cloister, but he decided to HP Ice right away, which I guess was a good option for him because Cloister is sleeping anyway, and it still hits both Nidoking and Zapdos. But I didn't really have the choice because I don't wanna reveal Executor yet, especially since I didn't get to steal a leftovers. So I will take full damage from Hidden Power and Spikes, and yeah. I obviously won't send Nunchakrel in yet, so I decided to go for Nidoking in case he would go Thunder. Now I'm expecting him to Hidden Power again to kill the Nidoking, so I pivot because I want to get Executor on the field, but not on a Hidden Power, otherwise I'm gonna take too much. So I want to get it on a Thunder. That's why I send Cloister first to get him to Thunder. And now I send Executor on it, and he misses it, which is pretty cool because honestly, getting Executor paralyzed here would have been very detrimental to my plan. So now I kind of have some option on my table. I have Executor in, and his Executor is sleeping. Marowak is in the good switch. He probably wants to keep Raikou alive because it's beating my whole team so far, and it's his only good Zapdos check. Well, not only good because he can play on Zapdos with Marowak and Lax, but Lax is at 38 without leftovers. Executor is sleeping, and Marowak, doesn't really do well against Zapdos. So probably needs the Raikou, and he's gonna have to play around the Executor because there is the threat of Boom. So he goes to his own Executor Psychic. Just wanted to pressure the Raikou with a Psychic first. So he goes Executor, and the Executor is sleeping. So it's a good time to use Thief because, well, the thing is, Thief here is the best offensive option. Not only do I get to steal a leftovers, but it also is my move that does the most damages against his Executor. So I'll just start to spam Thief. Thief, he's still sleeping another turn, another Thief. And I think the leftover is pretty useful because my Executor is now back at full thanks to the recovery. So here, pretty big turn because there is the threat of him waking up, winning the speed tie and booming. And if he booms on the Executor, I pretty much lose the game to Raikou. So technically there is this threat, and the thing is, in this position, I'm in such a bad position right now. Like, if I switch out on him, he might not boom. He might not boom. He might HPI. He might do something else. I don't know. So, and if he's still asleep, it's kind of annoying if I switch out if he's still asleep because I lose momentum. I don't want to have to switch Executor on the field again against Raikou because between the Spikes and the Hidden Paralyze threat, it's annoying. And if he gets a full paralysis with Thunder, I'm pretty much out of the game because then I probably lose to Marowak and Raikou combined. So I don't want to have to switch in Executor again, and I just think he has to wake up first, and he has to get the speed tie second to get the chance at booming on my Executor. So I decide to stay in and with my chance here, and he does wake up and he gets the speed tie, but he doesn't boom. I don't know if he had it, but he decided to stun Spore instead, and if he misses it. He misses it. Very, very fortunate turn for me because, like I said, getting the Executor paralyzed would have been very big for him. since Marowak now outspeed, and my Zapdos still has to sleep one turn, so yeah, very, very lucky turn, I guess. Although it did get the speed tie after waking up, so I don't know. Anyway, I risked it, and it paid off. So now he sent Marowak right on Executor. I knew he just wanted to. I knew, like, at this point he just wanted to take a Giga Drain, even if it put Marowak out of commission, so he can kill it with Iron Power and then try to win the game with Raikou. He probably realized that I was very weak to Raikou, and that's why he tried to play aggressively against Executor. Realizing he would Iron Power, I decided to switch out and go to my Zapdos. And against Marowak, I decided to Sleep Talk once because Rock Slide isn't gonna kill. If I Sleep Talk and roll Rest, I'm back at full. If I roll HPIs, I put the Marowak in a Giga Drain range, which means it can't stay in on it can't come in on an Executor like it just did on the next occasion. And by Sleep Talking on this turn, I also burn my second turn of sleep, so I can wake up right away with Zapdos on the next time. It goes Raikou, and now I have the problem from earlier, which is switching it on Raikou with the Executor because I don't want it paralyzed. The thing is, Executor is looking kind of good here because since well, Snog is at 38, he can switch. He can really switch Marowak on Executor because Psychic plus Giga Drain kill, and he has one last Pokemon, and at this point of the game, since he showed Marowak, I'm kind of expecting Vaporeon or Machamp. So I know that Executor can force the issue and boom on Raikou because he doesn't have a good Executor switch-in. And if I boom on Raikou, I can try to sweep with Tentacruel. So here I go directly on Executor. Maybe could have gone on Cloyster or Nidoking. Maybe Nidoking, to be fair. Sack the Nidoking and get the Executor in for free, but yeah, instead I just go directly Executor because, like I said, his last is probably not gonna check Executor, so I can force the issue. Anyway, he goes Snorlax here, and I Giga Drain, and I remember I was calculating if Giga Drain would put Snorlax in Psychic range, and I think I needed a max roll to put it in Psychic range should he switch in. And you might wonder why I didn't Psychic against the Raikou, and the reason why is that if he decided to HPS, I wanted the Giga Drain recovery, so I can once again force. Well, I can keep Executor at a bigger house. But he goes Snorlax on the Giga Drain, and I get a crit, meaning it's definitely Psychic range here. Another fortunate turn from me. I remember also I kind of wanted to cancel Giga Drain and just Psychic, so I could definitely put Snorlax in another Psychic range. And like I said, Giga Drain needed max roll to do so, but I got a crit instead, and yeah, I got kind of lucky here. Anyway, now the Snorlax is at 12, so I just Giga Drain again. And he goes Marowak. Like I said earlier, Giga Drain won't kill and HP Bug will, so I cannot lose the Executor because I really needed to kill the Raikou. Raikou wins at this point. I need to boom on Raikou to win with Tentacruel, otherwise I lose the game. He saw Dance on the Switch. I don't really know why he did that, to be fair. Probably because he wants to kill Zapdos with Rock Slide right away, I guess. Should I Sleep Talk or should I rest? But yeah, I think it makes sense actually, because he probably knows I value Executor too much. Anyway, now that I've burned my 2 turns of sleep earlier, I get to wake up and HP Ice. And that's good because I put it in Giga Drain range from Executor. So now he can't stay in with Marowak and he has to go Raikou. The fact that he still didn't show his last tells me that his last can't take an Executor, which is good because I'll get to brew on Raikou. So now I'm pretty much betting the game on my last betting Is, and he's probably doing the same thing. So he didn't power. I boom right away, like I said. I'm pretty sure his last won't beat in, so it's time to get rid of Raikou. And here's one last Pokemon, and Marowak. Marowak lose to Hydro Pump on Tactual. So I just need to beat the last, and I was very hoping I would face a Vaporeon here, especially since he had Executor to boom on a potential on its potential checks. But it reveals it to be Machamp. And you might think, well, Tentacle should be Machamp, right? Unless it runs Earthquake. So I have to hope it's not Earthquake for first. Although I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be because he has Marowak. I doubt Machamp would run Earthquake in a team with Marowak. So it's gonna be, it's probably gonna be it's gonna be either Restalk with Cross Chop. No, actually it can't be Restalk with Cross Chop because it would need a Pursuit support. So it's probably gonna be cross 3 attacks. And you might think that this Machamp should lose on the Tactual, but the thing is, if we go by damages alone, +4 Sludge Bomb, 1-2 shot Machamp. Which means it's a 3-shot, and he has a 3-shot on me with +2 Rock Slide. So my only option at this point is relying on getting a bit lucky, because my ways to win is him either missing a Rock Slide on his 3 attempts, because he is gonna have to hit 3 Rock Slides to beat the Tactual, or me getting a Poison on the first Sludge Bomb, which would actually give me a 2 KO instead of a 3 KO. So we'll see how that turn out. I Sword Dance once, he curses. I'm gonna Sword Dance again. So you're gonna notice that... oh wait, actually, sorry, I didn't give a good explanation. He has a 3-shot at Rock Slide at +1 and not at +2. Pretty different, pretty big deal actually. And I have to get at +4 to get the 3 KO with Sludge Bomb. Anyway, I also mentioned that if I lose this duel, I just lose the game later. Unless Cloyster wakes up turn 1 actually. Yeah, that's also why I burnt a sleep turn with Cloyster earlier, because if I lose this duel, Machamp is gonna be at like 10% and I can win with Cloyster. But I have to wake up on turn 1, so that would mean getting pretty lucky. Anyway, he Rock Slides once. He does 38, as you can see, pretty big deal. At Sludge Bomb, he does 48, not quite a 2 KO. If I got a Poison here, I would have taken Poison damage and I would have been able to get the 2 KO and win the game. But sadly, I don't. So Rock Slides again, I'm at 34, just in range for his last Rock Slide. At Sludge Bomb, 5% I get the Poison, but the thing is he's gonna kill me with Rock Slide, which means Marowak can win the game because Nidoking is paralyzed, and Cloyster will be at like 760 I think, after Spikes and Leftovers. So I would have to, no not 60, at like 55, so I would need to wake up on the first turn and get a surf. I would need the first turn wake. Anyway, I Sludge Bomb, get the Poison, and there he missed the Rock Slide. So very lucky of me, I guess. I played my odds. It was the only thing I could do anyway. I decided to go for it and I got it. So he missed the Rock Slide. Die from Poison doesn't matter because the Poison doesn't matter in the sense that Sludge Bomb would kill at this point. He sends Marowak. Just need to hit Hydro Pump and to win the game, and that's what I do. And there he ends. So as you can see, I was kind of lucky, I guess. Well, he did get the paralysis on right away on Nidoking, which turned out to be pretty big when you think about it, because otherwise I would have won at the end without the paralysis, thanks to Nidoking killing both Marowak and Machamp thanks to IV and Earthquake. But that was his only turn of Axe, while I got the Stun Spore dodge with Executor, which allowed me to stay faster than Marowak the whole game, and then I managed to dodge the Rock Slide in this position. Anyway, I just also want to say that if Machamp got to kill the Tactual, I still had a shot with Cloyster, but I would need the first turn wake, of course. Anyway, what to remember from this game: bring good normal resist, otherwise Snorlax is gonna pressure you probably too much early on. As you can see, it kind of put me in a position where I risked the cluster to sleep very early, and what turned out to be a pretty big deal because I didn't get my spikes up and I lost a boom option. So yeah, anyway, pretty fun game, very close to. Got the best out of my executor in this game by booming on the Reiku, killing the Snorlax and killing the executor with it, and then Totacruel came through. Until next time guys, see ya, and once again leave feedback if you want in the commentary or on SMogOn.